And I pray now everybody know who they are.
God can heal all of
We're happy tonight to be here to share some love.
First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Dora Lewis Amorigi. I am a school counselor here in Florida, in Hillsborough County. I've been in education for 13 years. I started out as a special education teacher. For the past 8 years, I've been a school counselor. I currently work at a middle school, one of the best in Hillsborough County, if I say so myself. This is my son, Noah Amorigi. He's a 10th grader in one of the Hillsborough County High School. So he's going to assist me today, okay?
Amen.
All right. First, we would like to thank my godparents for inviting us, Apostle Smith and my beautiful godmother, Aunt Deanna, as I so lovingly call her, for inviting us through the Black Women's Round Table. So we're very, very thankful for this opportunity. And one thing I would like to say, I met my godparents when I was 11 years old. We were working in ministry with my mother, singing on the radio, and my Aunt Deanna called in and wanted to know who we were. And that's been, 36 years ago, because I'm 47. And we're still in contact, and they're still in my life. My mother has passed on to glory, but my godparents are still here.
Amen.
Thank them for who they are in my life. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the impact of technology on education. You know, technology is everywhere. We all have our cell phones, even those of us who initially were reluctant to embrace technology. Once you kind of get it in your hand, you can't let go. So you see everybody using technology. It doesn't matter how young, how old. So we're going to speak about its effects on education. Just do a little bit of background on it and then just progress forward. We're going to go through what is technology, what is education, the types of technologies used in education, the impact, the advantages, disadvantages, and then we'll do some conclusions and some references. All right. The era of the 21st century is often regarded as an era of technology. Technology today plays a very important role in our life. It has been seen as a basis of growth for the economy. And it's made the impact of technology can be felt in every possible field, such as in education.
Amen.
How many of you have kids or grandkids that come home and they must use the computer or they must have a laptop? It's no longer optional. When I was in school, in high school, we were just starting to enter into that age, and you would have to go to the library. It's no longer a library, it's a media center these days, so because of all the technology that's there. But now you must have that technology in your home so that your children can be successful in school. Technology is a term that refers to a body of knowledge that is employed to generate tools, create skills, and choose materials for human use. Technology includes the use of materials, tools, techniques, and the source of power to make life easier or more pleasant and work more productive. So most of us in here have a job, right? I think there's only 1 millionaire in the room. So. The rest of us should be working. So how many of you use technology in the workplace? We use technology from the time we wake up and put our feet on the ground in the morning to the time we go to bed. It's just part of everyday life. Okay. How many of you can live without your cell phones? You feel empty. You feel like you're walking around without your glasses on, right? You feel blind. Okay, what is education? Education is general sense, and its general sense of the form is a form of learning. It doesn't have to be a formal education in order for it to be education. Some people feel like they've been educated by the Holy Spirit. Or university, you see that sometimes on Facebook and different places where people say the Holy Spirit was their university. And that's true. It is a form of education because He does comfort and He does guide us. Through guidance we are taught. So, in which the knowledge, skills, and habits of a group of people are transferred from one generation to the next through teaching, training, or research. Just about as I was talking about my godparents, even though my mom isn't here, my father's still with us, but as far as ministry goes, they continue to teach and train me. I don't always listen, but they they continue to teach and train me.
Yeah.
Sometimes, sometimes you're a little hard-headed, but it's okay. They're still there for you. And that's the same thing in essence when we're dealing with education. The teacher and the parents are the ones who are training. The parents are the child's first teachers. Sometimes in our community, in particular, because I've worked the gamut as far as schools go, in our community in particular, one of the things that I have found is oftentimes we leave it up to the school system, we leave it up to the teachers. The parents come in upset because the child isn't learning as well as they think the child should be learning, and they blame the system. But you are your child's first teacher. You must take an active, proactive role in their education. So we can't hold others accountable when we don't hold ourselves accountable. When we've done all we can do and we've worked in partnership with the teacher, with the school, then we can proceed forward in helping that child. You'll see that children respond a lot better when they have that support at home. All right, the types of technologies used in the classroom. We've got smart boards. Y'all know what that is, the big whiteboards. Back when I first started school, it was a chalkboard. It was dusty. You had allergies, so what? You still had to deal with it. But now we've got smart boards, and you can actually play the videos and everything on the board itself. It has software built right in for, algebra, whatever it is that the child is learning. You have classroom PCs. Most of the classrooms are, have some type of at least one or two computers in them, and then almost all the schools have labs. Computer labs. I know at my school we have 3. Then we have the projectors, and then we of course have the television. Every classroom basically has a television for the kids to use. All right, so you want to chime in about any of these types of technology?
Yeah, for things in the classroom like smart boards, you're going to do a lot of things on the smart boards which you couldn't do on a regular chalkboard. As my mom spoke about the software that's included in some of these complex algebraic equations that are digitalized are computed right into the software on the smart board, so it makes life much easier for you. Also, things with like the television. Every morning at most schools you will have a morning show, which you obviously couldn't get if you didn't have a television. Projectors are useful for when you're watching an educational video that you want to display on the wall or any flat surface. And then the PCs that we use from time to time in class will help you with things like research papers in history or just plain research and maybe an English class that you need to write an essay for. So all of these things, from the smart boards and to the televisions, they all help you just advance your education.
Help to facilitate learning. All right, so he talked a little bit about the smart board and how interactive that it is. And it allows the teacher to project an image from a laptop. Like if we had a smart board right now, that would be great, right? Because it would be projecting our image, but we're moving out here. We're projecting our image like onto this wall, and it would be hands-free, and I'd be able to move around, talk more, and facilitate more. But we are happy to be here, so we're just gonna work with what we got, right?
Amen.
He also talked a little bit more about the classroom PCs. Not only just PCs, but like iPads or any kind of notepad. It's very helpful, I find, especially for kids with disabilities. They can take notes on it because sometimes they may not have legible handwriting, or it just, maybe a little bit hard for them to write. They don't have the fine motor skills. Like he stated, a lot of the classes do require the children to have reports and presentations. My youngest child is in 2nd grade, and we've already done 3 reports this year. So it's no longer that middle school where you start to do the reports. Now they're doing it in elementary and the primary grade. So this allows for the students to be more in tune with their learning by allowing them to have their own personal computer. So I know a lot of the private schools, they're also switching over to making it mandatory for the kids to have an iPad type device. We talked about the projectors. We talked about the television. One thing I wanted to say about the television, he was talking about it in use for like on the morning shows in the morning, but it's also very relevant in dealing with current events. With the inauguration that took place recently, a lot of the kids were looking at it in the lunchroom, in the cafeteria, or they went up to the classroom. So it's very relevant for keeping the kids aware of what's going on. So. All right, impact. Small change, big impact. It wasn't that many years ago where when I was in middle school, the modem system, operating system for a computer was like the size of this whole room. And they had to keep it cool. Y'all remember that? They had to keep it cool. We had to learn the binary code in order to work on the computer. You had to do a little bit of computer software yourself in order to get the computer up and started to run. So, but that has changed drastically. And so now we've gotten more major changes taking place because of the ease of use. Positive impact. Enhance teaching and learning.
Technological developments like digital cameras, projectors, mind training softwares, computers, PowerPoint presentations, 3D visualization tools. All these have become great sources for teachers to help students grasp a concept easily. It has to be understood that visual explanation of concepts makes learning fun and enjoyable for students. They're able to participate more in the classroom, and even teachers get a chance to make their class more interactive and engaging.
All right, globalization. When schools in different parts of the state, they sometimes do projects like, you know, how we used to do pen pals or that type of thing. You write a letter to somebody in a different state and the child would write back and the teacher would oversee all that. But now it's more so they do this through video conferencing, classroom to classroom. They'll have special projects and assignments where they can do that. Sometimes it's within the same city, sometimes it's within another state, sometimes it's specialized schools that are out of the country. So some sites, you know, like it says, are used to help students learn foreign languages as well. So they can be speaking to someone in Mexico that speaks Spanish that has a special relationship with them, and they're in agreement, and the kids would conversate back and forth. And that's one of the best ways to learn is through immersion. So when you have no other choice but to speak that language back, then you'll learn it. You'll learn it quickly. Last summer, I spent 2 weeks in Haiti, and I learned some French, Creole, through immersion because everybody there were speaking that language. And even though I understood more than I could speak, at least I was to the level where I could understand some of what they were telling me. Even with just bits and pieces, it was enough to let me know what the conversation was about. So learning through immersion is basically survival. I have to learn to speak this language or at least understand this language, or I do not know what's going on around me. So it's a survival skill, it's basic instinct. There's no geographical location. With the introduction with online degree programs. Anybody taking a class online? How was your experience?
Awesome.
Okay. Depending on the type of software that's being used and the type of instruction that's being given, it can be an awesome experience or it can be a very bad experience. I personally don't like modules that just basically you train yourself, you teach yourself. That doesn't work for me. But I do like the interactive software if there's little video clips that are going on and then you can log in at certain times and the professor is talking. That works for me because it's actively engaged. I'm a visual learner, and that's the way I learn best, is by seeing something. So you can get, as you know, you can get full online degrees now through, it used to be hybrid where you did part online and part at school, but now you can do the full degrees online, not only just on a college level, but K through 12 now. We have Florida Virtual School in this state, which is free of charge if you are a resident of Florida. Sometimes, for whatever various reasons, kids may be sick or they just don't get along well in the regular brick and mortar school environment. The parent may choose to do like an online setting for them, and that is their option through Florida School Choice Program. And again, that is a free school site for students who reside in the state of Florida. You want to give? My son recently took an online class. You want to give your experience?
My experience with the online class hasn't been so well. When you talk to students, most of them would prefer to be in a classroom where you'll have feedback from a teacher immediately. Some of the pitfalls to being and working with an online class, obviously you're not going to have a teacher to direct you and guide you, but it's more of students having to navigate through teaching themselves some of this and their confidence in what they're teaching themselves. You can't have anything be successful if you're not even confident that you're teaching yourself the right thing. Some of the times, as my mom touched up on, you will have a teacher that comes on, but that teacher will have to share time between tons of students, so there's not the attention given just to you. So sometimes it can be difficult to navigate an online class, but for some people they'll succeed and excel in that. So it's just something to know.
This is basically more personal preference. All right, negative impact. So we know that whenever there's good, there's evil. So we're lurking, right? So let's talk about the negative impact. All right. One of the negative impacts of technology is that due to excessive usage of online chatting, like we don't write out words anymore. It's like R instead of R-E, it's R and then U is just U. So it's excessive usage of online chatting. We don't have the same writing skills that we had. The basic grammar skills that we took so much pride in, being an excellent writer, they've declined a lot. Children are relying more and more on digital communication, that they've totally forgotten about improving their writing skills. They don't know the spelling of different words. They don't know how to use grammar properly. Or they don't even know how to write in cursive anymore. I mean, that was a big thing back in my day. You had to know how to write in cursive before you left elementary school. And now the kids are in high school and they don't know because it has not been something that has been pushed. They don't know how to do their little signature. They want to print their name instead of sign their name simply because they don't know how. So, there's give and take, but these are some of the things that our children are missing out on. There's also increasing incidents of cheating. In Florida, a lot of the testing now, the state testing is being done online. It's called CGT, computer-based testing. So, with graphic calculators and high-tech watches and mini cameras and similar types of things that the kids can bring into the classroom that they're not supposed to have, it runs the risk of them wanting to cheat. When you know that you have that answer right on your watch and it's on your arm, devil sitting right here on your shoulder,
I used to put mine in my hand.
like Aunt Deanna was saying, what we used to write on our hand, on the back of our hand, or right here. Yes, now it's right on their watch, but they do have rules to tell them to take it off and things of that nature, but it still promotes that possibility of the child wanting to cheat if they're feeling stressed because of the test. Okay. It's easier for students to write formulas and notes on graphing calculator with least chances of being caught, so now they just basically provide the calculators for the children. Okay, lack of focus. Text messaging has become a favorite pastime with many students. Students are, they're texting with their cell phones and iPhones, even while driving, in between lectures. Everyone's all connected, not even just kids, but everybody's always connected. We're never unplugged, And so because of this, if you already have like a genetic predisposition like I do and my children have. My mom was a little hyper, kind of ADHD, and so are we. Kind of genetically, it runs in our family, so it makes it harder for me to, sometimes I just have to unplug and just do without it for a while, just to reset, I would say. Advantages. Technology does often, when used properly in the classroom, it makes kids more excited to learn. Whoever remembers standing there listening to that boring professor and like, would she get on with it already, or would he get on with it already? You just totally zoned out. You're going to ask your best friend for the notes because you're done. So, when it's used properly, it causes kids to become engaged and excited. It helps kids with their busy schedules, gives them freedom to work, at home on their own time. They have books online now, so most of the textbooks, if your child is, still in a K through 12 grade, you can email your teachers. The majority of the textbooks that we use in the state of Florida are available free of charge to parents. So you can email that, and you email your teacher. They should be able to provide you with the information to log in and use an online textbook so that you can have that available to your child at home. Okay? Would you like to say anything about the advantages, Noah?
Yeah, like some advantages of it are things that you wouldn't really think of if you weren't a student. Like for instance, if you have, I don't know, like 3 tests coming up on a Monday, so you have to study over the weekend, you wouldn't want to drag all of those heavy textbooks home in your book bag. So instead of that, you could just go home, log in, and use these online textbooks. So it saves money for the state with not having to buy as many textbooks, and it's just easier for people to use.
Decreases paper and helps us to, go green. Disadvantages. Initially, it can be time consuming for the teacher setting it up and emerging the technology into the classroom. But once it's set up, then it's less time consuming. Technology is costly. That's probably one of the biggest things, is that it costs a lot of money. And then there's upkeep. There also can be health issues with children that, with stress on the eyes and things of that nature. So those are things to consider if a child is stating that, their eyes are hurting or something of that nature. And when we're talking about the cost of technology, not just to the state, but the cost of technology to the parent, because we know that we need to have the technology in the home. So now the parent is feeling pressure to make sure that it's there, and he or she may not be able to afford it. So in conclusion.
Well, in the conclusion of this, we can fairly assume that technology, for the most part, has many great effects of it, such as not having to bring home books, or just being more involved in things and giving kids another option to learn without having to sit through boring lectures. Obviously, some downsides are the cost of it, and just people who may not fare as well as other and most people with technology. So with the good, there comes the bad, but for the most part, you can say that technology is definitely a benefit, and it's definitely the trend of the future.
Absolutely. Not here just alone in the United States, but in pretty much every industrialized nation. So thank you for your time, and that's basically our presentation.
Amen. So it's just not the shouting, children are being lost, turning to gangs, drugs, and everything else. Amen. So we just thank God for them from Tampa. Let's get them. How many children? Did your mom had 3 in college, right? 2? How many? 4 in college. Let's get the Lord a that change. Her mother was an advocate for the community and did a lot of work in the community. And when I heard these children, they were singing on radio. They were singing with no music. And I forget the song, Jesus. I don't really remember the song, but it touched my heart it let me know whoever these people are, they had to be genuine and they had to love Jesus, because it wasn't to be seen, because there was no music or nothing. You know how you listen to the radio station and you listen to professional music, but they were singing from their heart. And her mother had a beauty salon, praise God, from one of the best houses in Titusville, and she used to open it up for Bible study and reach out to the community. And she has a story that we're trying to, it was a film done, but we're trying to get that look for her book her mother wrote, how she was a
The flower